A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. I'm Ritwika Gupta and you're watching our very special weekend edition, VoiceWhat presents Super Achievers Making New India. Today we will be kickstarting the show talking about the concept of document contract lifecycle management with Deepak Dhanak, co-founder and CEO DocuX, and Pankaj Minda, co-founder and CTO DocuX. In the second segment, we'll be chatting with Sahil Shah, President and CEO Mesh. Now, DocuX is a digital purpose-built document lifecycle platform that replaces paperwork and consolidates fragmented tools. What's the significance of DLM for entrepreneurs today, and how does DocuX facilitate the ease of doing business for companies? We'll be finding out today in a conversation with the founders of DocuX. Listen in.
In today's edition of Super Achievers Making New India, we focus on documentation in the digital era. Despite huge technological advancements and a plethora of software tools and cloud solutions, our work around documents and contracts remain highly fragmented, and the struggle is real. Not anymore with DocuX, an AI-powered end-to-end documents and lifecycle platform that allows its users to manage the entire lifecycle of a document or contract on a single platform. Joining us today are the co-founders of DocuX, Deepak Dhanak and Pankaj Minda, who share their insights on developing a unified platform to simplify documentation with one click at a time.
Deepak, Pankaj, thank you so much for joining us today on Leaders of Tomorrow.
Pleasure.
So, Deepak, I want to kickstart this conversation with you. If you could, for our viewers, really explain, what are the concepts, behind document lifecycle management and contract lifecycle management? What's the idea behind it, and what are its significance, for entrepreneurs today? Why, are DLM, CLM important, for success?
As long as you remember, you probably have been dealing with documents. Okay. Documents have been all interwoven into our personal and business life since we started exchanging information, and doing information and commerce. Everything that you do on the business side gets enshrined through documents, and they are the agreements. That's the way the world agrees and moves on, correct? In the business, even in the personal life. And the document life cycle or the contract life cycle is particularly more important for the businesses, because then you are dealing with third parties, you are dealing with people that you otherwise don't know, and your agreements are enshrined into those documents. The document serves as a medium of exchange, and that's why it is very, very important for all the businesses to ensure that they have the entire document and the contract life cycle adequately mapped and measured and controlled in order to have a meaningful business transactions that move you forward. Nobody wants to get stuck with the paperwork, correct? Paper should move your business forward.
Right. So on that note, tell us, what is the idea behind DocuX, and how has the journey been, managing a global company?
DocuX was born out of frustration. All throughout my 30 years of professional life, I have been around and working with documents, with contracts. Earlier, even in pre-internet era, we used to use, paper documents. Now we use online documents. But we use fragmented systems. We use, multiple systems. We go online, we go offline. Some parties do not prefer online. So there are heterogeneous systems. There are fragmented tools that are pointed solutions that you deal with. And today, most of people's work is about work, not the real work. Give you an example. You want to find a document, you can't find a document. Why? Because it is scattered. The context of the document that you want to look at, how this document came into this shape and form, who agreed, who approved. You have to look at 10 different pointed devices or solutions or softwares. And that takes away a lot of your time. It takes 2 seconds to click, go and send a document, but to find that document, takes hours sometimes. So I have spent 30 years in this field. If I had DocuX on the day one, I would have probably done what I have done in 15 years. That's the time I have spent around the document. And that's frustrating because businesses today are working at the speed of the light, and what is stopping them? It's the processes and the documentation process. And nobody has actually holistically solved this problem. Everybody only, optimized a pointed solution or a particular viewpoint, but nobody came up with a holistic idea of solving this problem. What DocuX does is puts the entire life cycle of a document on a single platform that is AI powered. So from document creation to collaboration on internal approvals, control over the documents, security around the documents, enshrining with the electronic signatures, analytics, which was never available to anybody, correct? Everything is just woven into a one simple, easy to use, intuitive platform. That's what DocuX does, and that is what we are trying to bring sanity into this madness.
Well, coming to you then, Pankaj, tell me, as the co-founder and CTO of DocuX, how are you leveraging technologies like AI and ML, in your processes?
Okay, so AI has been part of DocuX from the day one. I mean, it is there in the DNA of DocuX. Almost everything which DocuX facilitates for the users, there is an element of AI, which helps the user move forward.
Sure.
And if we look at the workspace, the way the documents get categorized, the way they get sorted and prioritized for the users, the small brief summary which comes along with the document, along with the actionable items, what a user should be or able to do at that point in time, are all AI driven over there. Once we come to the document drafting stage, AI is everywhere when it comes to the drafting. So drafting, we review the documents, when we are collaborating with the people, commenting, then when summarization. So contract analytics, usage insights, everywhere AI sits in DocuX. We are doing a lot of research and new developments in the AI currently. Unlike other players in the market where everyone brings in ChatGPT or a large LLM model plugins into their platform to plug in AI. Unlike that, we are developing something ad hoc, which is much more affordable and secure. Your data does not go to any third party, making it really viable for the customers, and any type of customers can use it. I mean, data security becomes utmost important at that point in time. So AI is like in the DNA.
So on that note, tell me, what were some of the technological challenges did you face, during the development of DocuX?
Oh, there were many actually. So the primary one being DocuX is like packaging 10 different applications into one. So making them work coherently, seamlessly, without failures, without overlap, was one of the most difficult tasks for us. I mean, architecting such a system for the user that it doesn't become overwhelming was really challenging. Then coming to the point where to solution this whole system, the architecture, the infrastructure which we had to design, which was from the day one designed to be able to handle extreme scale, was very, very big challenge. Today we can say DocuX can handle million users without breaking a sweat and without any human intervention at all required. I mean, the automation has been done to an extreme level. I mean, we both are automation lovers, so it was natural for us to automate almost every part of the backend processes of DocuX. So it works seamlessly without human intervention. The other thing, one more thing which is there is you're bringing the costs of the product to a level which can be made affordable to all users. So that was something very, very challenging. I mean, we had to architect in a way which makes it cost effective. So that was some of the key things which we had to.
Tell me then, what is your perspective on the overall landscape, as far as DLM and CLM are concerned? And also, how is DocuX then, planning to make a mark in the global space as well?
I can say that, the point solutions will become pointless. If you get an electronic signature on a complete lifecycle platform, why would you buy a single standalone electronic signature tool? The second is going to be that AI is going to become all pervasive in all parts of our business transactions, in our systems, in our processes. The AI will become a base layer, and any tool that is not enabled with an AI for the purpose for which the tool is built, they'll struggle. Okay, so AI will become all pervasive. Currently, we are in the hype cycle of AI because it has recently been introduced. It's one of the most significant technological development, perhaps in my eyes, after the advent of internet. But we are in the hype cycle. Soon we will get into the substance cycle where, as Pankaj was highlighting, the systems will become more affordable for commercial use that ensures that your data and your information is protected. Today, DocuX, within just a couple of months of making it available, is being used in 24 countries. Okay. We have seen initial responses from our customers that DocuX has been able to give them 80% productivity gains, up to 60-70% of the cost savings, because they can replace multiple point solutions, and they have seen a closure rate on their agreements and contracts going, like 10-12x faster.
Pankaj, coming back to you, and Deepak has already spoken about it, but I would like you to elaborate. And that's because, safety and security are major concerns as far as data and information are concerned. So what are the steps being taken, on that front?
Security is part of our company and DocuX from day one. I mean, it was never an afterthought. Generally, that's what happens with almost all products. I mean, security always takes a second step. On DocuX platform, even to access your documents, a person needs to log in and authenticate himself and verify, which, unlike other CLM players and the e-sign tools in the market, would allow you just to access the document with an open link, which is highly unsecure, though convenient, but not desirable. Even the data which is stored and the way the information is transferred is fully encrypted, both at rest and in transit. We are hosted on the most secure data center in the world, which is like the gold standard for data security and information, enabling us to provide end-to-end security to all our users.
Deepak, coming back to you, most global companies, they are not based in India. However, DocuX is an Indian company, who is cementing its position in the global market. But do you see that as a shortcoming, being an Indian company?
I would have agreed to that 5 years ago. It was a challenge, long ago, in terms of acceptability of a product, a gold standard, world-class product coming out of India. That acceptability was a challenge earlier. I don't think it is any longer there. We have phenomenally good products coming out of India. Take Freshworks, Browser Stack, Postman, ChargeBee, Correct. I mean, there are many others. So that acceptability in the global market has improved drastically. Talent was earlier a big challenge.
Yeah.
No longer now. Okay. Capital was a challenge earlier. No longer a challenge anymore. With the uprise of India in terms of economic superpower or in terms of the demographic dividends, with the users and consumers getting sophisticated, with the capital availability and the technology interface becoming much seamless between the developed and developing countries, I think India is the next hotbed and destination. I'm super excited about putting DocuX as a global standard, gold standard product from India to the world.
Well, all the very best. It was lovely chatting with the both of you. Thank you so much. It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. You're watching our very special weekend edition, Voice What Presents Super Achievers Making New India. In this segment, we'll be putting the spotlight on Mesh, a company that's transforming the manufacturing sector through its digital innovations. My colleague Rohan Richard caught up with Sahil Shah, CEO and President, Mesh.
India's dynamic manufacturing sector is driving economic growth and technological advancements. In recent years, the sector has witnessed a transformative shift towards automation and digitalization. And at the forefront of the country's manufacturing innovation is a young entrepreneur, Sahil Shah, President and CEO of Mesh, who is fostering an environment of global collaboration by providing a level playing field and connecting industrial buyers and suppliers from around the world and extending India's presence beyond its borders.
Welcome to Super Achievers Making New India. Sahil, it's a pleasure having you with us.
Yes, thank you, Rohan. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well.
Sahil, let me begin by asking you, the journey of Mesh sounds intriguing. Now, what went into it? What was the backstory? And what was the personal motivations behind Mesh?
Yeah. So I studied industrial engineering and statistics at Purdue. And in 2017, I was doing an internship with MES Inc., which is actually the company that Mesh spun off from. Now, what they were doing is they were buying parts globally, procuring different mechanical parts in a variety of different commodities and processes. So I went there with a project to look for specific surface coaters, anodizing, chromating, and powder coating specifically. So I visited probably 50, 60 odd factories in a 6-week period. And we, MES, was internally using a tool that allowed us to do all of our quoting, new product development, and whatnot. And I saw an opportunity as an industrial engineer, to kind of streamline the processes the way it was for us, to do for all of the suppliers that were also, that we were working with and kind of reviewing during my trip. So for me, there was 2 real opportunities that came out of that. One was to build a marketplace for industrial commodities and processes that was third-party audited. Okay. So you could have an apples-to-apples comparison. But the idea is to have an avenue, a marketplace where we could audit ourselves, Mesh, do the audits for all, different suppliers around the world, and give buyers globally, a place where they could look, at like an apples-to-apples comparison. And then, obviously, as I mentioned, taking the tool that was internally used and applying that. So there was 2 kind of opportunities: the network, the marketplace, as well as the technology integration, into the suppliers' workflow and processes.
Got it. So like a one-stop shop, basically.
Absolutely.
Now, could you tell us about what industries or sectors does Mesh cater to?
Yeah. So we have 2 products right now on the marketplace. And one is supplier relationship management, which is focused on larger organizations who are buying and sourcing products globally. And then the second product, Mesh QMS, which is our quality management system, which is designed for small, mid-sized suppliers who are supplying to those, purchasing organizations and whatnot. So the industries that we serve, it started with automotive, but the applications that go into automotive also are used in a variety of different industries. So hydraulics, construction, lighting, e-mobility, oil and gas, really a variety of different, when you think of the heavy industrial markets, those are all areas that we serve. And I think I'll take that one step further. So the 2 products are based off of 2 gaps in the market that we really saw. So the supplier relationship management, which is the first product we released. So we saw a big gap in the customer relationships versus supplier relationships, and we feel that for any manufacturing organizations, both of those are important. You can't sell to your customer without your supplier, and you can't supply, the other way as well. If the customer's not there, then the supplier doesn't have business. And then the second thing is, for our second product, the Mesh QMS, APQP is a process called Advanced Product Quality Planning. And that was put in place by the Automotive Industry Action Group back in 1994. APQP was something that historically in the last 25, 30 years has been done completely manual. There are not very many tools out there, but it's a very niche area. Now, India right now, we'll get into probably Make in India and some of the other things as well, but India right now is doing, in their manufacturing GDP, 50% of it is automobile manufacturing. So that's where we see a real big gap. There's more and more suppliers coming up, more and more automobile opportunities, but the technology is not following them the same way.
Now, Sahil, manufacturing comes with intricate challenges. What are the product or solutions that Mesh offers that kind of help the industry at large?
So one of the challenges with QMS and APQP is the amount of stakeholders that are in the entire process. So let me give you an example. I said there's 30,000 parts. That can be nuts, bolts, everything. Now that turns into, 3,000, 4,000 SKUs. Now you could have a very unassuming fastener or a bolt that, has 5 different stakeholders. It could have a manufacturing stakeholder, it could have an engineering stakeholder, it could have a purchasing stakeholder, it could have a customer stakeholder, supply chain. So all of these different departments, both internally and externally, have to be in the know about what's going on. So one of the core pieces of the value that Mesh provides is that ability to have different stakeholders involved in the process and have the right information at the right time with the, to make the right decision.
Sahil, in one of the previous questions, you mentioned something about Make in India, which brings me to that exactly is what my next question is going to be. How does Mesh align with key government initiatives like Skill India and Make in India? And any case studies or any projects or collaborations that kind of exemplify that alignment?
Today, there are not very many ways for a small supplier in Rajkot, or a small supplier in Gurgaon, or a small supplier outside Coimbatore to get access and exposure to the large buying organizations, right? So that's one of the big things that Make in India does, is we are giving exposure and really leveling the playing field. Because, all the larger suppliers, tier 1 suppliers in India, are all getting opportunities. Yeah. And that's all there because the China plus one strategies that all Fortune 500 companies are rolling out. And as they roll those out, they're really only looking at the large players in India. But what we want to do is give exposure to the small, mid-size. Somebody who's doing 5 crores of business would never have the opportunity with the global large OEM. But we can level that playing field by bringing everybody to the table. Like I said earlier, with our audits, third party, we do them. And they're the same, no matter you're making 200 crores and building for, the largest OEMs in the world, or, just a small mom and pop shop. So one of the things that I feel with Skill India is that it's actually going to create a competitive advantage for India. Because as you build that skill set in a certain subset of the population, that population is now making themselves more valuable. So it's doing good for them, but also doing good for the country, because we as a country, India, is then developing that skill to say, hey, I can also supply this at the same level as large, players around the world.
Sahil, you mentioned something about supplier development and differentiation and technology being the key elements. Okay, yeah. So which brings me to my next question. What do you feel about IoT and AI? AI being the buzzword all of a sudden. Where does it feature in the context of Mesh?
No, and I think you've seen things like Chat GPT, and a variety of different, applications that have came out. And I think AI has a place, 100%. It is a large piece of where we're going in the future, 100%. But I look at AI as a 2-step process. So the first step is the automation. And then AI is layered on that automation. So let me take that a little deeper. Yeah. When you think about automation, it's taking the repetitive tasks, the mundane tasks that you're doing, that buyers, engineers are doing on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, and automating them. So that's just automation of a task. And that in and of itself provides a tremendous amount of value for, a lot of the organizations that we work with. Now, once you layer AI onto that, where AI is different than automation is it infuses a human level of decision making and analysis. So we are a young company, just in the last year and a half, we've really began gathering all this information. So we're focused on gathering that information, providing the automation, and then slowly, here in the next few months, a year, we will layer AI and machine learning and a variety of these other things to really provide and unlock different levels of insights.
What's next on the horizon for Mesh?
Yeah, so I think what's next for Mesh is two different things. I want to live in a world where buyers are finding suppliers in every corner of the world. And I don't just mean in the large cities like Mumbai and Delhi and London and Stuttgart and Detroit, Michigan. I'm talking about every corner of the world, the rural areas. So we want to connect the buyers and suppliers. That's an important, real initiative for us. And that's going to continue to be a real emphasized focus. So I think that's one thing. But I think the second thing for us is we've thus far been very focused on US, Europe, India, and Mexico. India and Mexico being the emerging markets, manufacturing markets that they are, and US and Europe being the developed, areas and markets that they already are. Now we see an opportunity in South America, we see an opportunity in Africa, and we see an opportunity even in broader Europe, to continue expanding our footprint. We're actively doing R&D on a mass production purchase order management tool. So that's not available on the market right now, but we're continuing to do R&D. So, it's important to us that we continue to listen to our customers, understand what challenges they have, and continue to serve them in a manner that really allows them to flourish.
Perfect. Sounds like a revolution is in the works, and power to Mesh and power to you guys for whatever it is that you're setting out to do. And yeah, I think perfectly exemplifying our tagline, Super Achievers Making New India. It was a pleasure having you.
Awesome. Thank you, Rohan. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And with that, it's a wrap on this episode of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. We hope you enjoyed the conversations. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.